Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will be on right after this song.
Tommy Torettic. See, I don't like doing this, but I'm gonna teach you a little bit about the world. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to the shop of Anonymous. I swear I don't want anything to do with this, I promise this. You hear me screaming from the top, I'm dropping knowledge. Is a barrel's too far gone for a rookie, so I'm calling this. Game over for you, trumps the grind is all I know and do. Breathing fire like a dragon's or new power coming through. Yeah, I'm working 3 jobs so that I can frack that crew. The money you dummy in front of no honey can take that love from me. Going to the future and never coming back. Marty McFly now more like his dad. Trying to be calm, all this news is just whack. Propaganda flying, so know everybody mad. Empathy is gone, so we all for attack. If you disagree, you're just stupid and sad. Use intolerance or must be smoking crack. Ignorance is bliss, y'all, just to die, yeah. 2 sides of the same coin, killer. Why we ever stop living up for pillars? Acting like everything in life must be a thriller. We're living in a world written by Frank Miller. Cause the Dark Knight's return, so now we churn. See our heroes messed up and now we spurn them because it pisses us off and now we burn their careers alive to the ground. Cause we yearn to be in that position so that we earn millions and millions and millions. But then we turn into the very thing we hate. Now we revert and we refer to the lines that we rehearse. Spread love and forgiveness only to sink deeper. What did we learn? Distract myself from the world. Water, earth, fire, air, swirl. Bend it to your will, then hurl. Flying buffalo, why don't you give it a whirl? Grab a saber, then just twirl. Force cut a pear, give her a pearl. Power unleashes a churl. Drill the dark side with me. Guess it's time I get back to work. Captain of my own enterprise, call me Kirk. Anger and depression always seem to lurk. Round every corner, so I write this just a perk. Everybody moved up, cause we screwed up. Living in a country where we shoot up. Anybody disagree, just to move up the food chain where you grew up. Otherwise they beat you down cause you used up. Time to boot up, new mindset program. Think you knew us, but you shoe us. You only care about us to subdue us, just to screw us. Living in a country full of Judas. Stab you in the back, USA or Brutus. Convolutions, bringing out the Dark Knight. Now we tuned up, time to scoop up any positivity. While the masses all have clueless, they can only catch your speed. Mr. New One's opportunist. Leave them naked in the ground, talking ruthless. I am ruthless. Visions full of kid grown ghoulish, broken ruthless. Spitting proverbs like Confucius. Call me Tommy Torettic or Nostradamus.
Who this? Who this? Who this? Who this? Who this? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, live streaming directly into your homes and phones via Facebook and the HWWS WebTV channel on YouTube. Welcome to episode 31 of Lights, Thunder, Action. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester, a.k.a. Thor, son of Dale.
And my name's David Thompson, and today we've got a big show for you guys. Of course, we have a Mandalorian episode to talk about. We are so happy that there is finally new content that we can talk about, review, spoil the heck out of, and Mandalorian Chapter 10, we'll be talking about at the end of this episode. Before then, though, we've got a lot of news. Fairly slow news week, I would say, overall. But we have some video game news, a lot of streaming news, Disney Plus, HBO Max, a lot ahead of us, Star Wars. So stay with us. Thomas, how you doing today, brother?
I am doing well, man. I'm alive. I'm exhausted. I don't know what week we're on, what month we're in, what year it even is even more. I'm just tired and confused. I'm confused easily, but I've been listening to loads of Star Wars books.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so excited. So yeah, man, we're here. We're on a day, and I'm very excited to talk to you. It's been ages. It's been 84 years since we last had a show, it feels like. How are you? And then also follow-up question, how was yesterday?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I had a really busy this past week, so it really flew by. Like, it's funny you're saying, because we interviewed Monty. That was, 5 days ago? So it hasn't been too long. We haven't talked Mando in a while. So I'm excited for that at the end of this episode and talk about the news and everything like that. But yeah, I'm doing well. I had a really busy week at work. And then yesterday I did get to go to the Jaguars game and shadow and do some stuff with them, which was really cool. It was on. I'm a sucker. I was, telling some of the people I was there with, or that were showing me around. I was saying that, like, yeah, I'm just a sucker for stadiums. Like, I love just being in these places. Like, I just love the spectacle of them, and it never gets old. Like, since I was a little kid, I've always just pulling up to an arena or a big stadium. It's like, oh my gosh, and I don't know why. And it's crazy because it's such like that goes back like forever, just in like mankind, just where like the gladiators and the big coliseums, like it's so something that's like innately in me that I just love about stadiums and stuff. But yeah, really cool experience. I had a great time. It was a great way to kind of cap off my long week of work, and then I had today off, get to do this with you today, which is work, but so much fun. And yeah, excited to get back to it tomorrow, and got a lot more ahead of me. So yeah, doing well is the bottom line.
You been able to watch anything or?
Let's think. So I watched The Mandalorian, snuck that in.
How long did it take you to watch that?
Like I did over like 3 different, like maybe 3 or 4 different sessions between like my like phone and then like on the TV and on my tablet. So I got through that. I started Titans, didn't really do much, got distracted, haven't gotten back to it. I might give it another shot. But from what I got, I liked the Dick Grayson character. I wasn't like a big fan of like the Raven character. And then in the middle of the episode I was watching, I ended up getting I kind of got distracted by something, but they kind of were losing me with what was happening. And I was only on episode 1, so I didn't really give it a fair shot, but that show seemed pretty cool. But I don't know if I'll necessarily finish watching it, especially because my HBO Max subscription will be up in like a couple of weeks, because time is flying, man. I can't believe it's already the 9th of November. It feels like November just happened. Last week with the election and everything, it was just a whirlwind of things happening. And yeah, man. So what have you been watching? What have you been listening to? All these Star Wars audiobooks?
I'm so deep in the wars, bro. I think last we spoke, I just finished Kenobi. Well, now I finished Darth Bane.
Now, is this a
destruction?
Okay, is this canon or what do they call it? A legacy?
It is a Legends book.
Legends. Okay, sorry.
This is I just started the Darth Bane trilogy. It is 3 books. The first one was from 2010, I think. So like right around the time I went to college. I was definitely not reading books then. So that
you were doing math.
Yeah. So yeah, it's way too busy doing math. And then they took the math away. Rude. How rude. So then I finished that in like a day, working, just doing painting, mindless work, just painting and listening to it. Fantastic book. It's set 1,000 years before the events of the prequels and original trilogy and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it's set about 3,500 years after Darth Revan and Darth Malak from the Knights of the Old Republic game. So it's in this nice little pocket where I learn a little bit about the past and I see the foreshadowing to the future. You finished Clone Wars? Yes. So in season 6, we actually see Darth Bane and he is canon.
Right.
And that happened, I want to say that was after this book had come out.
Yeah.
If I'm not, I think Clone Wars was canceled in 11 or 12 potentially. 8 years, so 12, yeah. And it's fan-freaking-tastic. And then I put out a call for credits, and nobody had credits, which is understandable. And I broke down and definitely should not have bought credits, but I bought credits. I couldn't stop. I'm supposed to drive to Georgia tomorrow for a commercial, so that's 9 hours in a car. So I have plenty of time to finish a book.
Holy crap! Yeah.
So I bought Darth Bane, Rule of Two. Ha! Damn.
Is that another Legends book?
It is. It is the sequel to that. And then I also went ahead and got the third one, which is Dynasty. Is it even called Darth Bane? I don't know. I'm going to call it Darth Bane. Yeah. Darth Bane, Dynasty of Evil. Dude, So good. It's so much fun. And it's all read by Jonathan Davis, who reads the book Master and Apprentice of Obi-Wan and Anakin, but Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, he's so good at this, and he has different voices, and he's just got this. Well, in this book, I just got to a part, and they're talking about Chancellor Valorum, and I actually I was like, I don't know, like Chancellor Valorum, that's from the prequels. Yeah. And I was like, yo, what's up with this? And my buddy's like, it's just the family name. I'm like, they keep family names for that long?
You're right.
Okay, so he was a legacy. Well, he was definitely not the Chancellor Valorum from the prequels. I'll tell you that much. The prequels guy, weak. This guy, strong.
Well, hey, if you guys don't want to listen to audiobooks, you can listen to this audio podcast. So all of our episodes, it'll be 31 after today. 31 weeks we've been doing this. You can find all of our audio podcasts of all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Also on our hosting site, Spreaker. So find them all there. If you're going for a walk, driving your car, doing whatever, you can find our full episodes, our full shows in an audio podcast format on all those places. Thomas, what else you got for me?
The video version of this podcast can be seen on our Facebook page, Lights Thunder Action Show, as well as the HWWS WebTV channel on YouTube. And we are there every time we go live, except for that one time where the idiot with the long hair and a beard forgot to click the YouTube button and not the Facebook button. But we finessed it. You can also follow us on Instagram at Lights Thunder Action, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces. LTA Podcasting, action verb with an ing at the end for the Twitter. And of course, our YouTube page where we post short/long clips of our series and shows. Lights Thunder Action ! And
also,
before,
sorry. I was going to point out to everyone that's been waiting, the audio version and clips from the Monty interview are coming. They have not. Like I said, my last week was tremendously busy. So that is my fault. But the Monty interview that we did last Wednesday, it's on Facebook right now. You can find it there, the full interview, video format. It is coming. There'll be clips of that. It was a great interview. I highly recommend going and checking that out. The audio version will be up probably around when this episode goes up. So look out for that, everyone. If you didn't get to check that out, you totally should. Sorry, Thomas, I interrupted you.
No, you're good, because I was going to hard segue away.
Yes, sir.
Before we hard segue away, I want to say hello to everyone in the comments.
Yes.
Terry Mciver, he's alive. He's well. We saw his face, but y'all didn't. We saw his face the other day. Mind-blowing. He looked just like you thought he would.
Beautiful.
A beautiful son of a blue with a tinge of gray in the beard. If I'm not, he's got a Qui-Gon vibe going.
He does have a Qui-Gon vibe going. Terry is Qui-Gon. He's our Qui-Gon.
He's our Qui-Gon. Stay strong in the Force and all that such. Of course, we have Kyle Nunez here who says, hello there. Thank you, comment button. Thank you for finally working. Dina Pomichter, Sage, and Garrett. That's so weird. Pop. They're back from vacation. What's the word? Oh God. I don't know what the word is. The creators of the HWWS WebTV channel on YouTube and Facebook, and the HWWS Media Group and family. They are here with us. Great to see you guys back. There's no need to segue. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It is time for your favorite segment. What the news?
All right. Starting off with what the news. We're going to start off with a pretty interactive thing to start out here. Not an article, not something that we have to read along to you, but we got an Invincible trailer. And neither me or Thomas have seen this yet, just for as a little preface. This will be our first time watching it. We'll try to keep the audio, I guess, kind of down, and we'll try to talk over it just to make sure everything's smooth with that. So yeah, guys, let's check this out together, and let's watch the Invincible trailer that just recently dropped.
Okay, first, right off the bat, what a mustache.
Looks like J. Jonah Jameson.
I was gonna say. So we're gonna dive right in. Ooh.
Only a minute 25.
Kids your age think they're invincible.
Oh my God, that sounds like
Amazon original.
Makes them careless.
Now, okay, never mind. I almost had the question.
You hear it?
I do.
So cool.
Nervous?
A little.
Ooh.
Whoa. Okay.
Why is this kind of terrifying?
From
Let's
Robert
focus.
Kirkman,
I need something to punch.
The creator of The Walking Dead.
Beginning of a long journey for you, son.
Pretty good background, I'd say.
The thing is,
Ooh, bloody. Ooh.
you
So this is gonna be what? You think it'll be MA 17?
potentially. Whoa. Unexpected. Okay, I
All right.
gotta go
Wow,
back
maybe
really
they're wrong.
quick. I just want to listen to
This is the
something.
beginning of a
That looks-
long journey for
Hold on one second.
Punch.
Yeah, sure.
This is the beginning of a long journey for you, son. The thing is, you're different. You actually are.
Invincible.
Son of a bee sting. I can't
What's
figure
wrong?
out that voice.
Oh, the
The
actor?
voice actor. So
Oh
now-
yeah, I don't know.
David, what did you think of that trailer? That would look good.
That looked really good, actually. That looks something I would totally be into. 2021. So pretty soon, Amazon Prime. That honestly, like I like having stuff on Amazon to watch because I feel like I can make use of like the subscription that my parents pay for.
That must be nice.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so one thing I wanted to point out that I thought I got some vibes of is kind of the in Man of Steel, like the Kal-El, and what's his dad's Kryptonian name?
Jor-El.
Jor-El. I almost said Dur-El. I'm like, that's not right. Jor-El. And I almost kind of got vibes like that, where he was kind of it's we don't see this much. And we see it here where you are this very powerful, like advanced being, and you have a son that has similar strength or even more strength in the case of Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And I got kind of the same sort of vibes when he was telling him, like, you have a purpose, you're different, like, you're invincible. And I like the way he was kind of showing him. I mean, I'm sure that'll be a totally different story and everything like that, but those are kind of the vibes I was getting. And I'm a sucker for those parts in Man of Steel. I love to bring up how much I enjoy that movie every chance I get. So wanted to point that out. Thomas, what do you have to say?
All right. So when he first started talking, I was like, that sounds like J.K. Simmons. And then as he kept going, I was like, no, he sounds like Tenzin from Legend of Korra. I was right both times. It's J.K. Simmons, who was the voice of Tenzin in Legend of Korra.
Really? So
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like JJ. So
Yeah, right. Man, that's awesome. I was like, yeah, that sounds like. I was like, yeah, that really sounds like the first words in the beginning of the trailer. I'm like, that sounds exactly like J.K. Simmons.
yeah,
But then he said, when he said son, I was like, that sounds like that's from Avatar. That sounds like, is that Tenzin? And yeah, man, he'll be playing Omni-Man,
yeah,
which is Papa Invincible.
pretty cool. Thomas, what'd you think of the trailer overall?
I know literally nothing
I know hardly anything
about Invincible. All that's it. I know nothing. It looks fantastic. I'm hooked. I mean, I was basically hooked from the voiceover of it being a nice, soothing, calming voice of J.K. Simmons.
Right.
But I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued for the rating as well.
Yeah, me too. Seeing the blood, seeing the squishing of the face. How far does that go? When it cuts, is that how it cuts in the show, or do we actually get to see a bit more?
Yeah.
I think that'll be honestly like that moment in particular, and like other moments like that will probably be the deciding factor between like a TV 14 or 17. MA 17. So it looks pretty good. Yeah, same boat where I don't know much about Invincible at all. I've heard of it, but that's practically it. And it looked really interesting. The story looked cool, and I think I'll definitely give this a shot. I'm curious how long the series will be and all that different information, but I'll find it later. But based off that 1 60-second trailer, like it looks really interesting. I like the I don't know. It feels very much so like a comic book. I'm sure that's what it is, a comic book, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I got those vibes, and yeah, I mean, J.K. Simmons sounded great in it. I thought his character looked pretty cool. So can't wait.
You know, he's raking in the money. J.K. Simmons can do no wrong. You know who can do wrong? Square Enix.
That was a great segue. I was trying to dream up something. So, guys, this is actually pretty fascinating news, especially for you guys that are into gaming and stuff like that, but even just the Avengers. So, obviously, as most of you know, the Avengers game came out on all platforms, and it was by Square Enix, who they were the studio that came out with it. And it was Marvel's The Avengers, and I had a bad experience with it. I'm still hoping to continue that experience, sometime in the future, but there was a bug in my game that stopped me from continuing on the story at a certain point, and it has yet to be updated in patch notes and patch dates, even though that was their response to me when I contacted them as to what the resolution would be. So, been pretty frustrating, and so part of me is not that upset by this because I've kind of been ticked about the game. So here's the news. This is pretty surprising to me. I don't know, and I don't even know how to even judge this in a way. Like I don't even understand why. But let's go with it. Square Enix has posted. This is coming from. I'm reading off of PCGamer.com. This is a good article. Go read it if you have the time. Square Enix has posted an operating loss in its HD Games segment of more than $48 million they have lost because of Marvel's Avengers. $48 million for the second quarter of the current financial year. This information comes from the latest release of financial results for the 6-month period of April through the end of September 2020. Marvel's Avengers, has heavily advertised and was expensively produced, but was panned by both critics and the broader gaming audience. So yeah. The reviews were pretty average for the game, and honestly, the bottom line is that it seems like they pumped in, and I've seen a lot of marketing and advertising for the game, and it seems like they just put in so much money into it, and they have not made it back at all with copies sold. I read, I think it might have been a different article than here, but I think I read that it's sold like 3 million copies worldwide. Here's some context for you, Thomas. The original PS4 Spider-Man from 2018 broke a record by selling 3.3 million copies in 3 days. And Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix has only sold 3 copies worldwide. So that's some context for you. And those are and you're probably looking, in all honesty, I don't know for certain, you're probably looking at similar budgets there for those two kind of games. Obviously, people are trying to make money off of the popularity that's grown from the Avengers, and you would think this would be a easy swing hit out of the park for a studio like Square Enix, but it appears that they almost overshot, put too much money into the game. It's a pretty thorough game, I'm sure, to make, and they had to put a lot of money in just making it. And now we're looking at a big-time net loss, and this definitely puts in jeopardy, I would say, a sequel coming anytime soon. Thomas, you saw all of this. You heard me ramble. What are your thoughts?
Thor sad. Okay. I'm bummed that you still haven't been able to beat the game because it's I almost dropped our one PG-13 bomb right there. It's fracking amazing, dude. I love the game. So, okay, let me put it all into perspective. I've played a bunch of different various Thor games over the years on my phone and other ways. Nothing has and I've tried some other Avengers style games. None of them have captured the essence of each character and fighting style than this game. I love this game. This is the only video game I play. I go to Fortnite because I'm trying to get Dr. Doom because I love Dr. Doom. I don't know why, but I love Dr. Doom. And then I'm like, this is stupid. Thor can fly anytime he wants. I want to fly. So I go over to Avengers. My Thor character is a power of 97. My closest is like a 41, and that's only because they were in the campaign.
Yeah, Thor is a really fun character to play as in that game. Probably the most fun.
Oh, for me, the most fun. He is untouchable.
His mechanics are cool with the hammer and everything.
OG. I mean, he can do the only thing he can't do is like hack. which is super
Right.
stupid. He can. You don't have to hack something. You just blow it up with electricity. Come on, guys. I'm sad that it's not getting the love it wants because I want a sequel. We
are getting a lot of DLC.
Yes, and I think that the DLC will bring in more people. I think a lot of people played the beta. I know some people played it and were turned off by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know other people like me was like, oh, okay, I really do want this game because I can mess with this.
You know, that's a good point, Thomas. Maybe that backfired, the whole beta thing. Maybe that turned out they look back now and are like, that wasn't a great idea because we turned a lot of people off.
I was worried after playing because I was like, well, I don't want to do these I like plot. Yeah. I like the campaign. The campaign, fantastic. And after the campaign, you still have like a storyline that you can follow.
Yeah.
That's why I'm only leveling up Thor. Well, I'm leveling up Cap right now just because I bought some really dope skins when they gave us the free credits and stuff.
Yeah.
But with Thor, he's at a 97. I need him to be 140 so I can continue the campaign. And boy, is it easy to level up as Thor. Like, it's so easy. It's not even fair. Right. He can fly. I mean, now when I electrocute people, I get health and power back. It's not even fair.
Right.
But I think the DLC will bring in a few more people. Like, I'm excited for Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, to come in.
And then also Black Panther's coming.
Yeah, and I saw they recently showed concept art of their looks, and I'm like, okay, I'm about this. I'm a fan of this, so I hope that people will end up buying the game, and so we can get a sequel because like the mechanics are a little bit rudimentary, and the game at times does feel like it's a couple years too late. But I also think that if they were able to put in the money to make a second one, it would be on an astronomically different level. I played the DC Universe Online game for a while.
Like on steroids.
And I liked that game, but it was very rudimentary. And this is like, hey, this is like this, and it's like Fortnite, and it's like this, and it's like that. And they're like, oh, we're going to bring you new villains because we know you want to break more stuff. And I'm like, thank you so much for understanding why I play this game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, see, this is the thing with me. I will. So when I get next gen, when I get my PS5, whenever that will be, I will try to transfer that game over because they've been really like all these new next generation consoles have been really good and open, kind of an open wall between the previous gen and the next gen. So everything should be transferable. And hopefully I'm praying that when I transfer over the game, that then it will work because I hope almost the wrinkle kind of flattens itself out when I transfer over to the PS5, and then I'll try to go through it, and it'll be a better experience hopefully on PS5 because of the quick loading times. And that was something I noticed on the PS4 was that the loading times were actually quite long because it is a it's a pretty big game with a lot going on. And, something, it stinks, Thomas, that you don't have a PS4, you have an Xbox, because Spider-Man is so good. And when you said you're story-driven, it's like, oh my gosh, the Spider-Man story on PS4 is so good. I've heard great things about Miles Morales. You got to get a PS5 whenever you get next gen. What's up?
Why do you have to remind me? I'd already forgotten about it.
I'm sorry. Well, let me remind you of something else here. WandaVision is coming. Ladies and gentlemen, it's coming, and apparently filming has wrapped. Allegedly. Filming has wrapped. It's supposed to be coming still at the end of this year. It's uncertain sometime soon, end of this year, possibly. I saw a report earlier today from the Direct that maybe at the beginning of next year, but whatever. It's coming soon. We have a trailer for it. We know it's in post. And they were doing, reshoots or just finishing up principal photography, and they're working through it. I mean, it is, after all, a TV show, and they've probably got most of the first few episodes done. But we got it wasn't a leak. It was just a Twitter post that ended up being taken down, basically showing and it's basically just summarizing and finalizing that WandaVision has indeed wrapped up filming. I know, Thomas, you swear by that you saw that same thing for Falcon Winter Soldier. I don't know if you dreamt it up. I don't know. Maybe
Listen.
someone in the chat let us know if you saw the same thing that Thomas thinks he does, where Falcon Winter Soldier also wrapped filming. I didn't see that news, but apparently WandaVision is completely done. They've made it through all the COVID protocols as everyone else is fighting through to finish up filming. Thomas, when you saw this news, what did you think?
Finally.
Yeah.
Like, I'm finally, we know it's wrapped, and I'm just excited that it's gonna be here soon. Touching on that report that you said, it's likely that that's regional. Hopefully it is released this year. I'm still holding out some hope that it'll be November 27th on Thanksgiving, or
it won't be in November. We pretty much know, because
we know?
We do, because, well, I mean, we don't for sure, but Disney Plus has done a really good job recently. Like, for every month, they say at the beginning of the month what's coming out during that month and do a little like teaser sting thing. And WandaVision wasn't on that.
But
November.
It's right at it's the day after Thanksgiving.
That's a Friday.
Exactly. So why not be like, hey guys, happy Thanksgiving. Here's WandaVision. That'll be, this week is technically episode 3, 4, 5. That'll be episode 5 of this season of Mando. So there'll be 3 weeks left. So if they can double their views there and kind of get a good comparison of what they're getting, I mean, I'm looking at it now from a business marketing strategy, because I'm doing everything I can to make this manifest. If they release, if we have 3 straight weeks of WandaVision and Mando on the service coming out on Friday, there's a very strong potential that they can start. Because let's be real, Star Wars and Marvel are like, in terms of the demographic, it's their widest span. Like Disney classics are Disney classics. Everybody likes them. But when it comes to the new content that they have, it's Star Wars and Marvel. Bringing in the above 10-year-olds and stuff like that. So that would be a really good comparison of like, oh, okay, like how good are these things doing? Plus, who doesn't want a Friday night double feature, baby?
This is the thing. When would Mandalorian wrap? I assume that they're gonna have WandaVision come out after Mandalorian finishes, just to spread out their gain.
The 18th would be December. The final episode. Yeah.
See, it wouldn't surprise me if they give it a week or two after that, pump the marketing.
Well, but then that's Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
So
I don't know.
Why not hedge your bets and then have it in right before 2021?
Maybe. I mean, they have Soul coming out the 25th.
Exactly.
On Christmas Day. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see. I think it will come out this year, though. I don't know if it overlaps with Mandalorian. Maybe even personally, I would love if it was like finale of Mando and like the next day WandaVision came out, or the same day, or I don't know that. But then you're kind of stealing Mandalorian's thunder. I don't know.
You know, man, based on these dates, if they don't release it in the beginning of November, then they're not going to release it until the end of November, excuse me. And they're not going to release it until January 1st of 2021, because they have Soul coming out on the 25th. Now, granted, all of these are just, you can stream it anytime you want. So why not? That's also my argument. You can stream it anytime you want. Why not release it? The only people who have to do more work is me and you. Sucks for us, but also not sucks for us.
It does not suck for us. No, I mean, I'd take it right now, but I take all episodes right this second. I'd turn off the podcast and start watching.
Snort it like cocaine. Children never do cocaine. I will find you and beat you. Speaking of cocaine, that is not a bad segue to our next segment. I'm just going to let you know, because what? However, I don't know if all these Star Wars books has me tapping into like future visions, which, you know, Thomas has had before. I vividly remember saving an article of WandaVision having wrapped filming 2 days ago, and Falcon and Winter Soldier also wrapping at the same time. I had those articles saved, and they are now no longer saved on my phone. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't see the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I'm also saying that I did see it. I meant to do that the other way around. Before we move on away from this really quick, Terry says that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7 drops on Disney Plus in a few days. Well, it's already on the Netflix. You know what will never, ever come to Netflix, but may or may not be doing cocaine? 2022, Loki, Season 2.
What? That was the greatest segue I think ever on this show. Yeah, guys. So sorry, I'm reading ahead here. Loki, which is still expected to come out next June? This upcoming June, correct?
2021 is all I know.
So this is what's frustrating about me. This isn't really related to the story exactly, but Disney and Marvel have done a poor job, where they've done a good job, in my opinion, of updating us on release dates for releases. They have not made it transparent at all with these Marvel shows at all. There's never been since COVID. There has hardly been any official announcements of solid dates when it's happening. Think about it. Even WandaVision, we get a trailer.
There hasn't been hardly any. There's been 0 dates.
Yeah, 0. And I think I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated about the Falcon and Winter Soldier handling, where that was supposed to be an August release date, and we've literally just been living off of reports coming out from news, from news outlets. We've hardly gotten any word from Marvel and Disney officially on that series. We've finally gotten some on WandaVision, but anyway, that's not the news. That's just a frustration of mine. And now, it's a frustration I don't want to see go forward. I understand the concept of, I brought this up before in the podcast. When it's a movie release date in a theater, you want to say what date it's going on, because you stake your claim of that date. You own that date if you're Marvel, because you're that big, and you can say, hey, that is my date. That's why every time these movies shift because of COVID, they give you a date, they give you a Friday. Now we're getting, Black Widow in basically a year from when it was supposed to come out in May of 2021. Anyway, I understand that, but if we are truly leading to a future of streaming, I don't want the typical, I guess, way of handling it to be, we're going to stay hush-hush on these series until we officially know. I mean, of course, COVID, it will only last so long, and hopefully at some point we will get those dates back and they won't have to be changing them every 3 months as they are right now with the films, it seems like. But nevertheless, rant over. Loki, which has already, I assume that we don't know for sure if they finished wrapping season 1, right?
I don't believe they have.
You believe they have?
I do not believe they have.
Oh, you do not believe they have? Yeah, me neither. But apparently they're already planning on starting production on season 2 in 2022, which somehow isn't that far away now. If like that, 2022 is 13 months away, which is unbelievable to think about. But anyway, so Loki, I guess they're liking what they're seeing from season 1. This comes from Murphy's Multiverse, which I have found surprisingly reliable for a small website that really just has one guy that has, that has his insiders and stuff. I like his reporting, and I normally take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but I think his holds up comparatively. Anyway, so with Loki coming out in 2021, production starting for 2022, Thomas, I know you're super excited for this show. What did you think when we got all this?
Cool. Because I kind of, WandaVision feels like a one-off, a mini series.
I agree.
Falcon and Winter Soldier also feels like a one-off and a mini series.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is more likely to be a continued thing than, say, WandaVision. But based off just the names of those alone, WandaVision, it's about a singular story. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, well, we know he's not going to be Falcon for much longer. So I feel like those are self-contained miniseries. Loki, however, is a time-traveling movie. I mean, time-traveling shindig. And I think that he lends himself more to a continued series because he's the only villain who did not die.
Wait. No. He's the only villain that didn't die.
I mean, Red Skull's technically not dead, but he's also technically not
That
alive.
that doesn't count.
Let's see. Killed like the greatest villains, all dead. Thanos, bye-bye, twice. Ultron, sayonara, senor. Although he might technically be back because of like the VR video game. I don't know. Until I see him in a movie, he dead. Killmonger, gone.
Killmonger gone. What about the
Caecilius, gone.
What happened with the Ant-Man 2 villain? She's
technically
alive.
not a villain anymore.
Okay.
So, that was in the that was in the news, but we didn't add it. But yeah, she technically wasn't really that much of a villain. She was just trying not to die. We can all understand that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Let's see. Ant-Man villain, dead. Hulk villain, dead. Thor villain,
Hulk villain's not dead, actually. Abomination didn't die. He did not die. He was locked up, remember?
You're right. Who was I thinking of from Hulk then?
I don't know.
You're right.
Abomination's alive. And everyone's
and we're probably going to see him. Yeah.
Maybe She-Hulk brings him back. We'll see.
No, he's going to come back in the... Are you ready for it? It's back. Thunderbolts. You know what else? You know, this production is like not till 2022. In the article, it does have he does some math, and he thinks that a summer/fall range for Loki to premiere is possible because he has to start. Tom Hiddleston has to start filming a Netflix series, White Stork, March 2021. So they have to finish Loki production by March 2021. Okay,
right.
You know what is gonna be in production? January of 2021? The Maker of Peace.
Yes, guys. So the spin-off series from the Suicide Squad, which is coming out, next fall, coming to us from James Gunn. We got a tweet from James Gunn, who has a very active Twitter, by the way. If you ever want someone to follow on Twitter, I'd follow James Gunn. He responds to a lot of his commenters, like repliers and fans. Sometimes it's pretty snarky and funny, and he's a very active guy on Twitter, so I would give him a follow. Just a random suggestion, and I don't know, just plugging James Gunn, which I'm sure he needs. So this was the tweet. It was a picture of an Xbox Series X, which is the brand new top of the line Xbox next gen, coming out I think tomorrow, because or tomorrow or the next day, because Xbox comes out a couple days before, or a little bit before PS5. Anyway, the caption says, "Lovely gift from my friends at Xbox. Parentheses, of course, it's the busiest time of my life between 2 movies and a show, but perhaps I'll find some downtime as I begin my mandatory 2-week quarantine here in Canada for Peacemaker." So that the last little tidbit there we got in the last sentence is he's starting his 2-week quarantine in Canada for Peacemaker, meaning that we can all assume in 2 weeks that Peacemaker production will be beginning. And also important to note that he also said that after Peacemaker, his next project is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we will finally be getting. I mean, it's incredible. In May, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 would have come out 4 years when it hits May, which is crazy to think. It may not even be shooting the third one by then, but it'll be coming after that. We also have a working title for the Peacemaker show. The working title is The Scriptures, if I'm reading this correctly. Anyway, yes. The Scriptures is the working title for Peacemaker. Thomas, you saw this tweet. You saw the report on Peacemaker happening and James Gunn gaming during quarantine. What were your thoughts?
Sweet. Hell yes. Let's do it. He started his mandatory 2 weeks. That does not mean that we will be filming in 2 weeks. That just means he's allowed to do stuff in Canada after 2 weeks. So there's still some pre-production stuff that always needs to be done on location. In the article that says The Scriptures, rumor has it Rumor has it. Rumor has it. I don't know where that came from. The Scriptures, aka Peacemaker, will be filming from January 18th until June 15th. So that's a 6-month shoot. June 15th?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. You're not a Leo. What are you? You're right before Leo.
I don't know. I don't do this.
You're right at. You did. Well, sucks to be you, nerd. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, it gives him about, let's do 2 weeks from that's the 23rd. So that gives him about 2 months of getting things done in Canada, which could likely be location scouting and some principal camera test and all of that stuff. John Cena will probably never tweet about when he's in Canada doing his quarantine, but when he does, that's when we know stuff will start.
True.
I like that it's called The Scriptures, and working titles do not always lend to what it's doing. However, I think that The Scriptures is kind of I think based off the working title and the fact that it's Peacemaker and he's basically a douchebag version of Captain America, that's coming from the big Bostonian John Cena himself. I think that it's actually a hint as to what this is. Originally, when it came out, everyone saw that it was a prequel series. And everyone said that. And then he's like, we're not revealing the timeline. And it's like, well, I'm confused because I remember it being called a prequel series. If it is a prequel series, The Scriptures seems to tend to lend itself to what the Peacemaker will consider his code, which is probably fracking insane.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm ready. I don't have a segue.
Yeah.
It will not be a martial arts show. I know that much. But you know what?
Continuing the streaming wars, we have another Star Wars series. This is what's fascinating to me. Before I get into this, we've got a few things to break down here. Is Leslie Headland's. Also, I completely butchered the spelling of that in the banner. So, the guy in the back, can you fix that? Come in. Anyway, we have a new. Well, it's been reported for a while, but basically, that we have a new upcoming Disney Plus series, Untitled. We don't know what it's going to be about. That Leslie Headland is, show running. She's known for her work on The Russian Doll and Bachelorette. She's a writer-director, if you guys didn't know. But we are getting some more news coming out that she has been working on this since for all of 2020. That she's been, in the loop on it, working on it. We don't know. We have no idea what it's about, even though we do also have a fun little tidbit here of how she pitched the series. And here, this is how I'll read it. Every pitch starts here. She said, this is the quote. I don't feel like reading all that. It starts with, "Where are we?" Because I think that it is always how I anchor myself within this particular world. You can't just always start with, "I have a cool emotional idea," or "I have a cool concept I'd like to explore." She added, "Those are all great and keep them up there, but it's an actual world with actual places. Where are you? Who's there? How much do we know about who's there, and how much do we know? How much do we not know? Based on what we know about who's there, what we can infer about the political, economic structure of that place, and then how does that dovetail into the story and want to tell?" So, we're getting some tidbits here. It's funny that kind of reminds me talking when she mentions the political economic structure. That reminds me of when we interviewed Melinda Snodgrass.
Yes.
And she spoke about her idea for Star Wars. And it's just kind of funny. It reminds me very much of that, and kind of that idea of, it seems like it's going to be a bit grounded, more grounded than I'd say a major motion Star Wars episodic film. And it's sounding we're getting little tidbits. Let's keep digging into this, Thomas. What were your thoughts? And we can keep going through some of these little things coming through.
Well, I don't know if you actually read the best part of this quote. You were kind of going in and out. I think my Wi-Fi is tripping balls again.
Oh, you're okay.
So she says, for me, it's less about going through the Star Wars universe cinematically or artistically. I'm actually kind of combing through it geographically and go on a literal journey. When we were pitching, I had my designer create the Indiana Jones, like we go here and then we go here. The little red dotted line, this is our journey. This is where we're going. When I first pitched to Lucasfilm, I didn't necessarily pitch as a television show or a feature film. I just kind of pitch character or story and all the things that are dear to my heart as a playwright. I'm just pitching on that level. Ultimately, when I settled on television and specifically streaming, it felt right because I feel there's a different type of storytelling when you come from TV, especially episodic TV, meaning not bingeable TV.
Yeah.
So she went, first off, she called out Indiana Jones. Just instantaneously, I'm like, are we gonna get it? Breathe, Thomas. Think. Use your words.
Is it a solo series?
No, it's a female-led thing. We'll get to that in a moment. Are we gonna get like a treasure hunt in Star Wars? Because here's a plot point from every book of the Bane saga. He constantly is going to ancient Sith ruins and he fights off these animals, or he controls the animals, kind of depending on what happens. And then he finds a Sith holocron, and then he like gets out of all the traps, and then he like is. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
it's exciting. You're just like, yeah. Are we gonna get like a treasure hunt? Like, we're going after this. Similar to Mando, we're going after a bounty, but a bounty is not a person. It's a thing, and that thing is going to lead to something else. I'm very excited. What did you think of these comments, David?
I thought it was pretty interesting. I agree with you where what she said, I was kind of surprised more or less how long she's been working on it. And also that she's been working on it for so long. We've gotten no news. I think that potentially if it weren't for COVID, we might have some news on this by now. It also brings up a question for our next bit of news that I want to talk about, where it's like, what's Disney Plus up to when it comes to their Star Wars series? They're obviously, I mean, this is the bottom line, I think, in some ways, just big picture. Mm-hmm. Mandalorian has been an unreal hit for Disney Plus, for Star Wars. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, a lot of business comes from toys, marketing, merchandise. And if we're going to be all honest here, this thing and any other Baby Yoda toy like it is more popular than a Kylo Ren helmet or a, Rey Skywalker, anything. And it's so true because if you think about it, Mandalorian is a streaming service. It's a show on Disney Plus, and it somehow caught the zeitgeist and the eye of the general population that are casual Star Wars fans, not even Star Wars fans, just people that think Baby Yoda is really cute and that the show is entertaining enough that it has really, really captured the attention from Star Wars. And it just goes to show that they're really working with something here when it comes to their Disney Plus series. And they're seeing the kind of the fruit of their work coming through, I think probably with the merchandising and how many viewerships they're getting of Mandalorian, that they want to keep going with the miniseries and the series on Disney Plus. And we're obviously getting Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is coming out. Yes. And I don't know. There might be more coming out that we'll get to in a moment. So I think it's very fascinating that this is obviously, it's not a movie. Like Taika Waititi is working on a movie. This is going to be a mini series. I'm looking forward to it. I have so far really enjoyed Mandalorian as a series. I'm really looking forward to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this is exciting to me for sure.
All right. So there's more. This all dropped. Was it yesterday? No, a lot of this came out today, but it really dropped a couple days ago. It just ended up on Comic Book Today. That I can guarantee. I definitely know it dropped a couple days ago because Terry sent it to me on like Friday. Shout out Terry Mciver, our social media guru, keeping our heads on a swivel this week because we've been so busy that we couldn't actually read the damn news. She has another quote. Well, first, when she in your first quote, when you started saying every pitch starts here, she was holding up a copy of Wallace and Fry's Star Wars: The Essential Atlas. So she literally is on a geographical traveling story. Exciting. She said she was talking a little bit more about her show. She said, I would say it's in a pocket of the universe and a pocket of the timeline that we don't know much about. That's what I can say. She also said, just because my show is technically, yes, female-centric, meaning it centers around a female protagonist, I don't think that necessarily excludes men from that space. I relate to male characters all the time. I root for Mando. I root for Luke. An inclusive space means an inclusive space. But at the same time, I think that just because something has a female protagonist doesn't necessarily mean it's only for women. This is very interessante.
Yeah.
I kind of see Star Wars. Well, I kind of see if Star Wars is a religion, I like to think of my show as a tent revival. You can come over if you want. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff. There's going to be some things we haven't discussed in the canon yet. Saith what? Back to the quote. There are going to be some characters you don't know about. I would love you to join us. I would love you to be interested in it. If it's not your thing, the cool thing about Star Wars right now is there's so much you can align yourself with and get invested in. But if you don't like it, that's fine. That is not toxic fandom, and I'm a big fan of that quote.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this
Definitely,
other quote. Yeah, I'm looking at this other quote where they mention, I don't know where the idea, like if she said it's a martial arts thriller element of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that quote officially came from. I think it's just reportedly. I don't think it's an actual quote. Excuse me. It's from Slash Film. Here it is. Believed to be a female-driven action thriller with martial arts elements set in an... I'm not going to read the rest of the quote because it brings multiversal thoughts. When she was asked, this is taking longer than it should, but it's so much, and I'm so excited. When she was asked, I believe it was how long she's been working on it, she revealed that she's been writing it for a little over a year. She's quoted as saying, working at Lucasfilm has been like a dream come true and kind of beyond my wildest dreams, which I tweeted when it happened. Summarizing, she's been working on it for all of 2020. Here's where it gets really good. Ooh, excuse me. This is where it gets really good. I think I've had ideas for Star Wars movies since I was 13 years old, maybe 8 years old. I'm the type of Star Wars fan that doesn't even have a favorite movie. I just want to live in the universe of Star Wars continually, in perpetuity, forever. So when people are like, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I'm like, there is no Star Wars movie. There is only Star Wars. That quote is from an interview late last year when she was talking about it.
That's something you would say.
Thank you. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, girl, I feel that. I love How I Met Your Mother. And I quoted a lot randomly that people don't get. But my favorite quote is, the only people who have never seen Star Wars are the people who lived or who are in Star Wars. It's because they lived it, Ted. They lived the Star Wars. Leslie Headland, I want to live the Star Wars. You know who else wants to live in the Star Wars? Ladies and gentlemen, mind blown.
We should honestly pop up. I don't know if we can. We had like the Mandalorian spoilers, but it's okay. Because this is just a spoiler from episode chapter 9, season 2, episode 1.
I see what you're doing here. Yep. We're gonna
it's a little bit of a spoiler because it's talking about some things. Here, Thomas, I'm gonna read the Deadline article, the first 2 graphs here that they're updated. This is where the initial report was coming from. And I kind of want to just wrap our heads around this because there's a lot going on, a lot of confusion a bit. They even mentioned that. So here we go. From Deadline. Disney Plus's signature. All right, let's restart, boys. Let's get it going. We're going to start this over. Disney Plus's signature series, The Mandalorian, just returned for its 2nd season, which had wrapped production just before the pandemic hit in March. While not officially greenlit, A third season of the hit Star Wars series has been in pre-production for months, with creator, director, and executive producer Jon Favreau publicly stating that he hoped to start filming by end of 2020, which we discussed in the show either last week or the week before, that production for Mando season 3 is coming at the end of this year. That, back to the quote, or back to the story, that may be the case, with some sources indicating that production would be starting as soon as next week or in late November / early December, so really soon, while others pointing to spring or even fall 2021. Okay, so that's about others pointing to even spring or fall 2021. So that's a big difference. That's a stark difference from happening in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks. So here we go.
About that, and that's Mando season 3.
That's about Mando season 3, and there's other, there's other sources they're saying that are indicating even, to next spring or even fall 2021, despite this initial report. So let's continue. The confusion stems from the level of secrecy in Lucasfilm camp, but persistent chatter could explain the discrepancy. That another Mandalorian-related project / spinoff, the writer, let me get it, Nelly Andreeva, she's hearing could possibly be a Boba Fett series, right? So, which would film first, starting next month. So, here's the bottom line. We got the news, either it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that Mandalorian season 3 is starting up really soon. Season 3 production starting up by the end of this year. This deadline report is inferring or is speculating upon the fact that they're hearing it could not be Mandalorian season 3, but a Boba Fett series, a mini series of Boba Fett that we saw at the end of episode 1. We imagine if it's a Boba Fett mini, getting more of him. We'd obviously assume it'd be headed by Tamara Morrison. So Thomas, we broke that all down. What were your thoughts on all of this? There's still a lot of gray area as to what is happening here, but even just the speculation that this could be Boba Fett and that we could see a Boba Fett series coming before season 3 of Mandalorian. What do you think?
Give us some fracking straight answers, Lucasfilm. That is my thoughts. Look,
yeah.
Historically, Mando has filmed around. They started filming season 2 before season 1 even premiered. So they literally right now could be potentially. Now, because of all the interviews that are going on with the cast and crew of that, I don't think they are in production for season 3 right now. They might be gearing up for it. However, we'll never know. A Boba Fett miniseries. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, give it to me. Give it to me. I almost said Marvel. Give it to me, Disney.
Same thing.
The Fat Man. Give it to me, Marvel. I need my drugs. I need my Marvel drugs.
Yeah, I think it's a lot it's a lot of hearsay, and we'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I wouldn't be. This is the crazy part, though. I wouldn't be stunned by this news sitting here right now on November 9th, 2020, that a Boba Fett series could be coming to us in the next year. They have a Boba Fett series and then Mandalorian season 3 and how that could interweave together.
And
go
continue.
on.
No, you continue.
I was going to say that I also wouldn't be surprised if the Boba Fett talk is kind of just bull and that he's actually just a bigger character in season 3 and that's what we're doing. And with the fact that there's this other Disney Plus series, there's Obi-Wan, are they really going to make Boba Fett its own thing when it could just be a fundamental part of Mandalorian, which I think makes a lot more sense. Just me personally, Thomas.
Those are good thoughts. Okay. I do think that he's a bigger part of season 3. I think that's what this could be. Oh, it's a Boba Fett miniseries. It is called The Mandalorian, which is technically a very wicked, ambiguous title.
Very ambiguous.
They could do a couple episodes focused on Boba Fett if they wanted to. They could do a couple episodes focused on any other Mandalorian, because that could kill filler episodes, which is your big gripe, and we're going to argue today about it. But it could very much, they're going over to do this thing, and then they pull away to another character and give us. Yeah. I'm trying to think of there's a show that does this now. I can't remember. I mean, we'll use Stranger Things. That one episode in season 2 where they randomly went to Chicago with 11, and it was only to see how she came back with the strength of power. That was important. It stood out. It was very weird. It kind of slowed the roll of the show. But looking back, it made vast sense, and it was very needed for what they were about to do. Not just that season, but season 3. If they are going to bring in some more of these characters and make it more of an ensemble show, Flash was barely seen in this most recent season post-Crisis, and they focused on Iris and on all these other characters because it's an ensemble show. Right. You got to know about these other characters to have these this emotional weight for them.
Yeah,
now,
that's a good point.
There was a Boba Fett movie that was in development, as well as a solo spinoff. If they do a Boba Fett miniseries, they could, because it's in the mask, and maybe Boba Fett never took off his mask. Who knows? Especially because clones, he doesn't want to be associated with clones. So what if Boba Fett started the never take your helmet off thing? And that's where they get it from. Now, likely wrong. Why? Because he talked about that's the Mandalorian way, and in the Clone Wars is when he took the thing, and obviously Mandalorians in the Clone Wars took their helmets off. Mandalorians in Rebels take their helmets off. So maybe it's just a sect. However, Boba Fett could be set in the past.
Yeah.
Hunting down, it's centered around him chasing Han Solo. Maybe that's how we get Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo again, as a young Han Solo. It could be set in the 5 years after the Sarlacc pit incident. Who knows? There's so much to mine with Boba Fett that if there is a mini series, holy shit, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, and I mean, it could even be a running parallel along. I don't know. They could do some really interesting stuff with this if they want to. I think I would love to see, a Boba Fett. I mean, we'll see how much we get of him in this series, right? I mean, we've only gotten that one glimpse. He's sure to be back. They wouldn't have teased us with him in episode 1 of the second season if he wasn't going to come back in this season in some sort of role. So we don't really know what's happening here because we're so fresh and new into this season. And in episode 2, hardly anything happened.
You know what? That's
trying to get a rise.
It's okay. It's okay because we're gonna dive right into chapter 10 right after this comment from Terry Mciver. He said he was surprised it didn't even show the cutaway to Boba Fett for the recap of it says of chapter 9, and that is at the beginning of chapter 10. And as soon as they did that, I realized we were not gonna get Boba Fett in the episode. I was hoping.
Mm-hmm. And they do it on a per episode basis. Like they try to do the recap based on what you're about to see. And almost sometimes it makes you want to skip the recap because it tells you what you're about to watch in some way.
And it takes some time to learn that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't really recognize it in season 1. In season 2, you instantaneously recognized it. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, it cut out some of the stuff that was not the main plot of season 1. And in this one, I was like, why did they show 0?
Yeah.
I was so confused by that. I was like, 0. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they show the hut. Like they showed, spoiler alert, Baby Yoda in a hammock. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why they showed that. No, they didn't. We'll get to that moment in a second. David, chapter 10.
We've made it. Chapter 10. What was the title of this one? I don't even have it written down.
Passenger.
I wrote down for our notes in our show notes here, Frog Lady, Egg, Yum Yum. Those are my show notes for Mandalorian. Son of a bitch.
Listen, this right here
was something, man. This episode was something.
Okay, right off the bat, chapter 10 is so damn similar to chapter 2 in terms of tone. It's weirdness. Like literally, Mando has to do this one effing thing, but then that keeps leading to multiple things because it never goes right.
Right.
So in chapter 2, he literally all he wants to do is get off the planet of wherever the hell he was with baby.
Yeah.
But the Jawas stripped his ship. Then he has to get help from Queel, and then his whole goal is to get off the effing planet.
Rip Queel.
I have spoken. Or I guess I should have said we have spoken. And then in this, all he wants to do is ferry this person. Oh, first off, he's just trying to get off Tatooine. Let's make it. It starts out. We're gonna dive right in. We're not gonna jump around because this is basically my Thor watches script a little bit, but it's only because it kept with the plot and it kept with the plot. So there's like 30 minutes almost skipped in this whole episode.
Yeah, right.
So we're back on Tatooine. I 100% nailed it on my fan theory that we're going to be on Tatooine.
Yeah,
we're not going to talk about the rest of that fan theory because it's 100,000% wrong. There's no one F-bomb. I used it. Shit, I used it too early. So, he's on his speeder. We're going, and then they have the old classic rope in the open range trick where they trip the horse, but in this case, the speeder. Baby Yeet goes flying. The stupid son of a cath hound holds Baby Yeet up for hostage. Mando beats off the scavengers. That sounds so wrong when I think about what I just said. Beats the scavengers up. Then he bargains to give the jetpack to the little Jawa-looking frack. And then he sends the best part is he sends. Okay, first before we get to that, we see Baby Yoda run. You good?
Look at Twitter. We're getting an Entertainment Weekly WandaVision cover like tomorrow. Look at it. And I assume we're gonna get it looks so it's saying it I did. I just sent it to you on Twitter, right? Didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. It says holiday gift guide. So I assume we're getting December release date for
no baby Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, I'm gonna pause on the Mandalorian, ladies and gentlemen. I will die on the hill that we are getting it the day after. No, listen, people are like, let's get through Halloween before we start the Christmas stuff. And then other people are like, let's get through Thanksgiving. Listen, almost used my other F-bomb. Listen, let's be real. They put up Christmas decorations in fucking July. I used it. I don't care. They put it up in July in stores. The holidays, when they talk about the holidays, they're talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. That's why everyone says, oh, the holidays are here. It starts on Thanksgiving. I will die on the hill. Try not to show that I'm not wearing pants. I shot first. It's November 27th. Mark it in the annals of history. I got feisty.
Watch this article like tomorrow say that it's like some other random release date.
So
hold on. Let me try to share my screen here and pull up the cover so everyone that's watching live video format can see with us here.
Yes. While you do that, I'll go ahead and start describing it. So it's got that weird video effect of as we've seen of other not concept art, but key art. I don't even think that's right. Promo art. That's it. With Wanda and Vision and how it's half black and white, half color. It's a family photo of Wanda with her arms around Vision and Vision sitting there in a chair, and she's over top of him. Very 70s, 60s, 50s, 80s vibe.
Yeah.
And it says, the Wanda years. After dominating the box office, Marvel is ready to take over TV. Here comes WandaVision.
Yep. Fantastic.
Vision looks really weird.
He does look weird.
Big takeaway here. He looks overly animated. Now,
Yeah, and
let's fan Thor
face.
really fast. Let's fan Thor because I'm peeping the scene on my phone.
Yep.
We're gonna fan Thor here. This leads to further speculation that he is not. I mean, granted, they do have to CG his face a little bit from the makeup.
I cannot wait for this cover story tomorrow because that's like the caption. Bottom line is stay tuned for our in-depth cover story coming tomorrow. So we are going to get a lot more news. It's a shame it didn't come out before the podcast, but we'll have to wait a week to hear our thoughts.
Hold on. That's not a shame at all. Ladies and gentlemen, on our next week's podcast, likely going to be on next Monday, let's be real. We're talking WandaVision, baby. That may be the main topic along with Mando, a co-main event. In your double feature main event, Mando Chapter 11D. I don't know why I went to the Rugrats for a second. My bad, everyone. And WandaVision, the cover story, Entertainment Weekly. That's fantastic. I'm so excited. Much excited. Thor happy.
It's okay. Thank you, everyone. I had to bring this back up. Let's get back to Mandalorian Chapter 10. But hey, look out.
Mando!
Next episode, we're talking about a lot of WandaVision. And for all you fans out there, check out Entertainment Weekly tomorrow. They will be having their cover story out. And Entertainment Weekly always does a fantastic job of, giving us what we want to see and more pictures and fun articles and definitely some insights as into when it'll come out. What's wrong?
David, I don't feel so good.
Oh my God.
For those of you that, for the audio listeners, I'm using a green screen background and it's like tripping balls and my shoulder's disappearing. And I just had to hit him with the emotions. All right. So back to Mando. We saw Baby Yeet running for the first time. And all I could think was, oh my God, give it me. And then I was like, is that CGI? It's got to be CGI, right? I think
it's practical.
I don't know, dude. That was a lot.
Practical.
Well, of course it looked practical. Their whole purpose, they've used CGI Yoda before. Baby Yeet, excuse me. They've used him before. They said that anytime they use him, they put him to the same limitations as the puppet. And in this episode, there's a lot of stuff that I think is the first time we get a lot of CGI Baby Yoda. That's better. What in the flagnard is happening? Anyways, okay. I'll try not to get distracted. So we saw him run. That was really cool. And then Mando gives the jetpack to the Jabba-looking folk. And then he shoots him up into the sky and then slams him back down into the ground. And Baby Yoda snorts and looks up at him contemptuously. And I'm like, oh shit, they really just pissed off Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
He walks through the desert. He gets back to the cantina at Mos Eisley, and this is where we meet, ladies and gentlemen, possibly my favorite character in the history of Star Wars, Dr. Mandible.
Oh, right.
So this episode is directed by Peyton Reed, and I love the fact that they have a giant ant, which they've teased a couple times already. I think every time we've gone to Tatooine, we've seen this giant ant. Yeah. And his name's Dr. Fracking Mandible. And he's playing Sabacc against Pelimato. She swindles everybody.
Yeah.
But the Idiot's Array, fun fact for all of you. So every book that I've listened to before an episode of Mando so far, which is only 2, but it's still 100% hit rate, has had something specific that's come up from the book in the episode. You know what this one was? The Idiot's Array. I found out that is the rarest way to win at Sabacc and win the Sabacc pot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Sabacc.
That's so funny that there's that connection.
I've known nothing about Sabacc. I've heard about it. It's basically 21.
Right. Yeah.
You got to get up closest to 23. And if you get a full on 23, you win the Sabacc pot. Very often that doesn't happen. The rules and how things work totally change. But you can get a true Sabacc, which is 23 and you're in 3 cards, add up to 23.
Yeah.
Or the Idiot's Array, where you have a 2, a 3, and then the idiot. card, and the idiot is not worth anything. And that is the rarest way to win Sabak because of how few combinations of those cards. So we got that. Very awesome and exciting. I just had to throw that in really quick because I lost it. I yelled, "Oh, the idiot's array!" And I looked around, and my dad just was not.
Yeah.
He was like, "Shut up, dude. I'm watching the show."
Yeah.
And then they go on and they cook the well, Dr. Mandible tells us, "Oh, I know someone who can give you Mando info."
Right.
It turns out that there's one small skank in the Scud pie, and that's that Mando has to ferry a passenger to the planet of Trask. Spoiler alert, we never get to fucking Trask. We're past PG-13. I'm so sorry, man. I was so upset, but I'm not as upset now because I know where it's going, and I plotted. We'll get to this in the fan theory. They cooked the crate dragon meat on the pod racer engine, and it looked delicious. I want some crate dragon meat. Like, oh my god!
I like it medium rare.
Yeah. Oh, which seriously? Thank you, Pelly. I like personally. I like it medium, but
yeah, I'm a medium guy as well.
I don't mind medium rare if it's the right consistency of.
Yeah, but it's not. You can't hear it moo.
Exact. I don't mind a little bit. Yeah. Pelly motto.
Wait. I wanted to point out, speaking of the crate dragon, you see there's that one stick close up of Mandalorian's helmet, and you still see the gross acid on his helmet, and I'm like, sweet. You know, I like seeing where in this show it all feels so connected, and it's not like, oh, that next week they put on back his regular armor. Like, no, we are still in this story. It is all connected. You can watch it all as, a book and just read it and watch it all in a line. It all work together. Anyway.
There are real repercussions in this show. And that is what I love the most about it. And that is why I argue every effing time there are no filler episodes, because it will all come back. What is it? The hens always come home to roost.
Yeah. Okay.
The plot always continues.
It always comes back after they run away from it. Yeah. Anyway,
back to the plot.
Yeah.
It's Frog Lady. That's her name. That's just her fracking name. Her name is
Frog Lady. Is quite the character. What is this episode?
I know. This episode is so effing weird, bro. Yeah, it topped the Jawa episode from last year for being the fucking weirdest.
Yeah.
And I loved every minute of it except for the spiders, which we'll get to.
That would
So we're gonna jump right to. Really, there's not a lot that happens in this episode. This is where, for the first time ever, it's Western, dude. Have you ever watched a fucking Western that had a lot happening? Seriously, this is why I'm not the biggest fan of Westerns, because I watched a lot as a kid growing up, and I was very bored. I watched a lot of black and white Westerns because my dad loves black and white Westerns.
Yeah.
He's an old man, you know what I'm saying? And remind me to say my dad's quote about Mando at the end.
Okay.
Baby Yoda, Baby Yeet, the first time ever, I hate this little guy right now because he eats some of these eggs and we find out it's like the last of her brood and potentially the end of their species because we've never seen this species before. So it could potentially be the end of an entire literal race of beings. And what does Baby Yoda do? He eats the damn things. Yep. What a little dickhead. I just called him a dick so many times in this entire episode. I'm like, why is he being such a dick?
He's a baby. He's hungry. It smells good. He reminds me of like a puppy.
He's 50 years old. He knows better.
No, but the way they age, he's like a little puppy. It's Yoda years. It's like the opposite though, where the age takes so long, and it reminds you of a dog. Like they don't know what they're eating is bad. They just like, oh, it smells good, it tastes good. We don't know that the chocolate's gonna kill us or that whatever's gonna kill us.
I concede the point to you.
Yeah,
that's a damn good point.
It's like a baby, or to me like a dog, where like a little puppy. They just don't know what they're eating. It smells good, and they're hungry, and they want it, and they don't care. They don't understand that they are getting punished, that it's a bad thing. They don't understand him being moved away. He's like, oh, it just tastes good. So that part was really cute. And I wanted to continue the plot because I'm enjoying it, but I wanted to say quickly, I enjoyed this episode despite me saying it's a filler episode, because it is. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I liked Peyton Reed's. I could sense Peyton Reed all over this episode with just the goofiness, the giant ant, and I did enjoy it. It was shorter. A filler, like in my opinion, like an episode that doesn't really push for the plot all that much. It's better when it's shorter because it's kind of just pulling us through. It's telling us this fun little story. And I get what you're saying. Like, it all builds on itself and it leads up to like the big moving parts that are coming. It's just when there's only 8 episodes and this one's like 35 minutes long and it's about this frog lady who, I guess we'll save it. But when she starts hopping like a frog.
Oh my God, right? I was so creeped out by that. Like,
I hate frogs. Fun fact,
Really?
I hate frogs. They terrify me. Yeah, since I was like a kid. This lady I wasn't afraid of. And she starts hopping like a frog. And I'm like, no, I can't do this.
You were like, the spiders are one thing. Frogs, whole different level. Yo, you should talk to our old boss about that. Oh my God. We should text her and see what she thought of the,
right.
Because she hates frogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyways, to get away from our evil dark side, because I've been listening to so much Darth Bane. Speaking of big things moving, we get I'm stealing this from Jabba the Pod, ladies and gentlemen. This episode can be defined as Mando's quest to take a nap. And think about it. He did fight a crate dragon, killed a crate dragon, sped back, got attacked, fought them off, then walked through the entire desert. Then he finds out he's got to take a passenger. He goes to take a passenger. He takes a nap. Then he gets woken up by, what is the word? The radar, the sensors, whatever it is, of ships being near. He hops on. It's New Republic X-Wing pilot. Spoiler, not so much spoiler. It's the return of Dave Filoni, and he was in the Chapter 6 episode. They go back and forth. First off, are the New Republic X-Wing pilots basically like the space version of dickhead cops?
I think so.
Which
I
is why
like that
when they
part
died,
a lot, by the way. I loved that was my favorite part when they were it was kind of a space battle moment when they were like when Mando starts running from them and like going crazy. I thought that was one of the most vivid, like, and
it was
just
sexy.
Yeah, and I was just fully immersed in that moment. You know what I mean? Like it just in general, I thought that was a great small little chase scene in a very Star Wars way that I really, really enjoyed. Like the way it ended. Like I said, I enjoyed this episode for what it was, to be honest. It was a random episode. It was a weird episode. Not much happened, as we talked about, but I did enjoy it. And that was one of my favorite parts. Probably my favorite part, actually, was that chase scene, I guess I would call it.
Yeah, no, that was definitely my favorite part, honestly, because I was like, ooh,
It just looked awesome, right?
It just man, it was so Star Wars.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It was very Star Wars. It was like they were on Bespin doing a fracking chase, and I was like, more. So why does Mando start running from the New Republic X-Wing dicks? Well, they mention the prison transport. Give me 1 second. The New Republic Correctional Transport Bothan 5. They ask if he was there. Basically, they need him to send him a ping. He sends a ping. Then they see that. My favorite shot this entire episode is well, okay, first off, I do love the fact that Baby Yoda sleeps in a hammock. I'm jealous. I want a hammock. But when you're sitting there and you just see the X-Wing S-foils open on one side and then opens on the other, and it's like, normally it's like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, shit. That's when Mando runs. Doesn't even respond. The chase scene is awesome. He eventually crashes and then eventually sinks. That sinks into the ice. And that basically concludes like almost every single shot we've seen from the trailers thus far.
Yeah.
Except for the boat scene, which we'll get to the fan story, which what were you going to say?
Well, we also haven't seen the two characters from last season that were main pieces.
Oh, yeah. Which I'm not so much worried about that at the end of the day.
But they were in the Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was more of a well, all the shots that had us really talking were things we didn't know. The chase scene, running from X-Wing pilots, being on the boat, doing the stuff on Tatooine, what he was doing. We were all like, oh, okay, like what is this?
Right.
Well,
right. Yeah, the action, I would say.
The action. So I'm trying to think about how to speak. They crash through the ice. They're like, oh no, we're gonna freeze to death. He tries to get some sleep. This is where Zero, the robot from the Chapter 6 episode, comes in, which is why it was in the recap. The frog lady rewires it so that she can use the vocabulator, as she calls it, to speak to Mando. And is basically like, oh, well, I thought you stand up for your word. And if you don't, you always live up to your deal. And if you don't, I guess that's just like children's stories. So then
sorry. Sorry for cutting you off. I was going to say the characters I was speaking of, just for clarity, was Carl Weathers' Grief Karga and Gina Carano's Cara Dune.
Yes.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure I got that out there, just so we weren't some crazy people talking about
Hangin. Well, we are crazy people talking about all the things Star Wars. And then he goes out to fix the ship, and then Baby Yoda comes and kind of talks a little bit, like not basic, but like has some sounds, and it kind of sounded like droids. It was really weird.
Yeah.
You know what? I think of it right now. Maybe he's using the Force to try and communicate, and that's what it comes out as, because he was around a lot of droids throughout his 50 years. Nurse droids are a thing. Guys. Anyways, Frog Lady ends up in a hot tub. And then this is where everything goes sideways. Oh, first off, Baby Yoda is found after they crash, and he's like, no, what are you doing? You're not supposed to eat these. And he's like, how many have you eaten? Baby Yoda burps. What a dick. Then it happens again, and then it happens again. And then this point, she's warming up her eggs in the hot tub. She was worried about them dying because of the freezing cold. Mando's helping grab them and put them back in the pod. Baby Yoda reaches, and Mando reaches over and goes, no. And that's all he says. And Baby Yoda's like, saith what? You son of a bitch. That was awesome. And then he goes over and finds another egg. What's in the egg, David? A freaking Star Wars spider.
Yeah.
And then we get the most terrifying thing from this entire series so far, a spider stampede. I'm just going to fast forward through all of this because it's mostly just me freaking the hell out. And then they have Frog Lady frog hopping. They get inside the cockpit, and he tries to seal it off. Then he tries to he finally uses the damn flamethrower, which he never used. It's just confusing to me.
That was cool.
They try to fly off. The big spider comes down. It crashes down. And then the X-Wing pilots show up. Well, we don't know it's them, but they show up and they shoot the damn spider. Yeah. And they kill all the spiders. And then they have a very
New Hope.
Well, hold on. Then they have a very interesting discussion back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It says, you are responsible for the release of prisoner X6911, which is the Twi'lek from Chapter 6, The Prisoner, which is interesting. This one is called The Passenger, and that one was The Prisoner. Like, very interesting. It's very similar plot. It's slightly different, but and then they talk about, you were responsible for breaking him out of this. But we also found that you took out, as a bounty hunter, you've taken 3 people off basically the most wanted list. And then they say, records show you also had exemplary behavior trying to spare Lieutenant Davin's life on the correctional prison transport. They ask him if this is true. He says, am I under arrest? Then the space dick says, should be, but these are trying times. So we're willing to look past it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't actually think they say that. They say you should be. Technically, you should be, but these are trying times. And he says, how about I forego the bounties for you two to help me fix this ship up? And they say, let's say you just fix that transponder and so we don't have to go through this again. And I'm like, you dicks! No wonder everyone hated you guys in the New Republic. My final two notes.
Yes.
Then he said they eventually say that they're going to limp. He seals off the cockpit. It's the only thing that they can pressurize. They can still fly through space with the giant hole in the side. That's not how physics works, but I'll let it slide. It's Star Wars. A lot of physics doesn't work in Star Wars. He says,
Episode 8, Last Jedi.
If you need to use the
bombs drop because
we're just gonna. Okay, we're just gonna. I said we're not gonna think about it, and now you're putting it in my brain. He says if you need to use the privy, now would be the time. He called the restroom the privy, and me as a Ren Fair fanatic, someone who learned Ren Fair speak, lost my fucking mind when he said this because I call the privies. I'm like, I'm gonna go use the privy, and people are like, "The fuck you talking about? It's the bathroom, you swine, uneducated swine." And then he also makes a joke that he's like, "Now I'm going to sleep. Don't wake me up unless we're being shot at, or unless that door opens up." Just kidding. If that happens, we'll be dead before you could wake me up.
Yeah,
that's his first joke he's ever told.
Yeah.
Important to know. That's how tired he is. He's making jokes.
Yeah, right.
Then Baby Yoda looks at Frog Lady, and she looks at him suspiciously and hugs the eggs. And we're like, yeah, that's right, Baby Yoda. Stop eating those eggs. And then the son of a bitch eats another egg.
Yeah, and he pops one out. I love
Are you
that.
fucking kidding me?
That.
I hated that. That makes me
was
so
funny.
Fucking mad. David thinks it's hilarious. I stood up and yelled, "Are you kidding me, you little dickhead?" And then my dad goes, "Oh, why are they so short?" That's my dad's comment every time they end. He's like, "Why are they so short? I just want to live in the Star Wars." And I'm like, "Me too, Dad, me too." It's important to note that when my Baby Yoda arrives tomorrow and I pick it up, I'm putting it in fucking timeout. And I'm telling you now, I'm going back to refilm some stuff from my Thor Watches episode to yell at Baby Yoda to go to timeout. Spoiler alert for Thor Watches. This little son's bitch the cute little son's bitch, gonna go timeout.
We're getting a look into Thomas's parenting stuff.
This is why I do not want kids. I know what I would be, and that's why kids are off the table. Why would Han Solo ever... Do you trust Han Solo as a father?
Well, I mean, proof is in the pudding, I guess.
Listen, I shoot big facts. Big facts. Ironically, I think he had a better relationship with his father than his mother, but he loved his mother enough. But his mother is the one who pushed him to go. Irregardless of this, we got off tangent. David, this episode directed by Peyton Reed. Once that popped up, I was like, "Oh my god!" It makes so much sense that this was Peyton Reed. I'm so sorry to everyone listening that I'm just yelling a lot. I just got very excited and angry. The hate, feel it's the anger, it's the hate. Hate leads to power.
I want to say about this episode before we wrap up the whole show is that I enjoyed it. I really thought the Baby Yoda stuff eating the eggs was really funny.
You monster.
I enjoyed all those little bit. Like, it was just a fun bit to me throughout the episode. And that last little one was just the cherry on top. I liked the Mandalorian's, I liked a lot of his lines in this episode. I liked how he just was seemingly just disgruntled and was tired and just over it.
He was so sassy, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. So much personality in this episode.
Oh my gosh, like, I don't care at this point. Like, and we even saw a bit of it in the last episode where he told he told him, like, take care of the child. You know, like, I don't know. He's kind of just like, he doesn't like, his life to him is kind of
forfeit,
irrelevant. Yeah, he doesn't really care about his own life in a sense. He cares about his mission, and he cares about his goals, and he cares about doing what he has to do. But his own life is just kind of like part of his goals and his story. And like, if it just ends, he's like, whatever. I enjoyed this episode, man. And I think what's fun about Mandalorian, how they do this show is that when kind of what I would describe as, we use filler or like kind of more of a side story is kind of how Mandalorian does it.
Side quest, yeah.
Yeah, like a side quest here. It gears you up. It makes you almost more excited in a way for next week because you want to hope and think that next week we're going to get maybe more of some. We have to see Carl Weathers in.
No, we don't.
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, we're jumping helmet deep into the fan theory segment of Mandalorian. David, what do you think is going to happen next week?
I think that we get Carl Weathers, that we get basically what I was just saying earlier with like those characters come in that we already saw in the marketing. I think we get those recurring characters back. And I think we get off the planet. I don't know. It's hard to tell with this show because they always like to go slower than I think they're going to. Mm-hmm. So I think we do get those characters back in. I think we see some more familiar faces next episode. And I do think we see a glance or something more of Boba Fett. That's
interesting.
Yeah, I do think we do see Boba Fett this episode because I just don't get why you would show him in episode 1. I'm going to guess there was on Tatooine. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we get more characters back from last season. I think we see some recurring faces, some reunions, quote unquote. And I think we do get a glance at Boba Fett again and maybe something where it indicates what Boba Fett is up to, whether he talks or anything, where we just see something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's where my fan theory comes. A lot of shows follow a generic template. Episode 1 of this season was similar to episode 1 of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 9 and chapter 1 are similar. They dive into a story and they tell you about what's happening. Chapter 9 had a lot more words, but it also had a lot of great stuff. It also tied into chapter 4 with Tatooine, and it also tied into more stuff from deep into the Star Wars lore, the prequels and the original trilogy, with Crate Dragon being alive and Pod Racer engine and Boba Fett's armor and Boba Fett being Tamura Morrison.
And Tamura Morrison from obviously the prequels.
The prequels, who's every clone ever, and Jango Fett and Boba Fett. Haha. Now, episode 2's similar. He's trying to do one simple damn thing, and it keeps going sideways, and he never actually eventually gets to that point. The end of episode 2, he does leave that planet he's on. Yeah. At the end of this, the planet where everything went wrong. On this episode, he left the planet that everything went wrong.
Yep.
Chapter 3 of last season, he hands over Baby Yoda. Then he's like, nah, I can't do this. Goes back, lays waste to the M's, and then we get full Mando war. Yeah! Now, this is where the fan theory comes in. I like your idea that we get Cara Dune and Greef Karga. I don't know if that happens this episode.
I think it's time for them to come in.
Spoiler alert, the description for next week mentions unexpected allies. So you could be right, and he could unexpectedly run into them on this planet, right. Trask. Trask has to be a hospitable planet for frogs and their species. The water planet that we saw in the trailer with the boat has to be that planet. I figured that as well. Because we're getting all of the marketing looks early, I think they're going to keep knocking them out. And that's why I think we get the characters back and the boat. Yeah. And that's good. We also will get Sasha Banks because she's on the boat.
You think? Okay. Yeah, right.
She is on the boat. You can tell she's on the boat. The atmosphere is the same, and there's enough movement in the shot. Is she Sabine Wren? Is she an Imperial spy? No matter what, looking at how episode 3 of last season took what we were like, the story of Mando had a 3-episode arc in the first season, right?
Yeah.
Go get this quarry. Okay, I got to get back to collect my bounty. I collected my bounty. I got my armor. Now I'm getting the quarry back because I can't leave the imps, those shithead imps, to keep this baby. That's not right. I've got to find more Mandalorians. I've got to find more Mandalorians so that I can get this baby to where he belongs. He gets it. Then the only lead I had on a Mandalorian wasn't a Mandalorian. Cool. Oh, I have another lead on Mandalorians. Oh, I got stuck on this ice planet. Oh, I finally leave the ice planet. Okay, I'm going to the planet where I can get the information on the Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
Does Boba Fett come in? Maybe. He still has Boba Fett's armor. So it's possible that this unexpected ally is Boba Fett, and Boba Fett gives him a warning about the Jedi, because let's be real, he does not have good relations with Jedi at all.
Nope.
So he might also say, watch out, there's a dark side to this stuff called the Force, which I didn't mention this. He says, may the Force be with you to the X-Wing pilots, and they go, and also with you. Does he even know what the fucking Force is? Like,
I think it's just
I think he knows the saying and not what it is.
I think he knows the saying, and that would be a good saying to say to these guys.
Exactly.
Because he thinks the Republic is based on those sort of ideals.
So if Boba Fett comes in, he could be like, look, there's also a dark side. He's like, oh, well, he did choke someone. That's the sign of the dark side. I used to work with a guy who used to choke people when he failed him. Vader. Which he knew when he was a child as Anakin Skywalker. Let's not even get into that rabbit hole of awesomeness. So
yes,
I'm thinking that we actually will get more Mandos in this episode. Now, this is a stretch, and the only basis I have for this
I hope so.
is because we got a bunch of Mandos fighting in episode 3. I am hopeful that we get Sabine Wren, and we get to learn about Bo-Katan, and maybe this is where we get Ahsoka. Dude. I doubt. I
talk about
doubt.
a change of pace.
That's what happened last season, right?
Yeah, that's true.
As soon as that happened, we're like, okay, well, what's going to happen? He takes it, and then it's like, what is going to happen for the rest of this season?
Do we have an idea who directs next episode?
Nope. We don't know.
We don't.
But Carl Weathers directs chapter 12. He said that. Let me rephrase. He has said in the schedule we were using, mine was chapter 4. So that could have been the 4th chapter that they shot, or the 4th episode that they shot, or it's the 4th episode coming into the season. So we'll see. But we don't know who shot this chapter coming up. If it's Dave Filoni,
could be a big one,
which we won't know until the end. Like, I'm not, because if I look up,
they don't announce it earlier.
They don't announce it earlier. You only find out when the credits roll, which I love.
That's cool.
If we know it's Dave Filoni, it's when we get Ahsoka. Straight up. Whatever episode Dave Filoni directs is going to episode we get Ahsoka. That's his baby, his creation. Sabine, his baby, his creation. Rex, his baby, his creation. Bo-Katan Kryze, his baby, his creation. That's when we'll get those characters.
Yeah.
No matter what, this next chapter, chapter 11, is when shit will go sideways, and his mission from I need to find more Mandalorians to get this baby into his home will change drastically, and the entire season will change. That is my final fan theory. Everything we've known about Mando so far will shift and change drastically.
Wow. So big episode 3 you're predicting here.
Big episode 3. Big chapter 11. And we might no longer be planet hopping, bro. Like,
now what I would kind of like, we've already kind of seen it in the first 2 episodes where they was on Tatooine for a good bit, probably like 3/4 of the first 2. Well, I guess a little less, but yeah, you know what I mean?
No, basically a full episode.
Yeah, full episode.
The cold open for the first episode was on a different planet. Then the whole episode he's on Tatooine.
Yeah, and then
the cold open. I mean, a third of this episode.
That's what
basically,
I'm saying. I'm on Tatooine. 3/4 of the first 2 episodes as a whole. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like not really, a little less. But you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So
70%.
About 70%. Yeah, he's basically just been on Tatooine this whole season.
Yeah, and then this like random ice planet.
But I really do think that everything we're gonna have a new status quo with Mando. After this episode, I think. Okay. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, this is what fan theories are all about.
But I am never afraid to shoot first.
It's a great shirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the audio listeners, I just realized I'm wearing a Deadpool dressed as Han Solo shirt, and it says "Pew Pew, shoot first" in the Star Wars font. So that's why I keep saying it. Yeah. David, this was a great episode. You were saying, you're like, we could go for 60 minutes. I was like, we haven't talked in so long. There's no way it's only 60 minutes. We're not that short-winded. We tried. We failed. David,
I wasn't trying to be short-winded.
Yeah, I know, man. Where can everyone find you on the social media?
Sure, you guys can find me at my name, David Thompson, on Facebook, at David J. Thompson on Instagram and TikTok, and at David Thompson on Twitter. That is 2 A's in the David Thompson, THOMPSON. Thomas, how about yourself?
You can find me on Facebook at Thomas Carter Rochester -actor, at Thomas Carter Rochester, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces. On Instagram at TC Rochester Act. That is TCROCHESTERACT on Twitter. And of course, Life of Thor on YouTube. And you can find my show, Thor Watches. I'm just going to do my plug now. It's because it's easier. All the social media is up. You can find Thor Watches The Mandalorian Season 2 on my Facebook, my Instagram, and my YouTube. And you'll find a link on my Twitter. David, do you have anything to promote?
Actually, I do, but I also don't. So I can't really say what I'm up to or what's going on quite yet, because it's very soon though. Yeah, like Thomas knows, it is. I can say I'll be doing some writing soon for a website, and it is coming up soon. It'll be announced all over. I'm sure I'll post my social medias coming up soon this week. Very soon, next couple days. You can look out on those social medias I just mentioned for updates on that. Next episode, I will totally talk about it because it'll be all out in the universe by then. But right now, can't really say anything. But things are happening in my life, and I'm excited about it. So yeah, stay tuned for next week. I can talk more about it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know what it is. Just stay tuned for next week when David will directly tell you himself, because
I'll be happy. I'm excited too.
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us. I know that there's there's some other shows going on right now, so I'm hoping that they come back and watch the second half of this show. Thank you, Randy Stewart, for staying with us this whole time. And of course, Terry Mciver. They have, holy shit, they have really good. I was not paying attention to the comments. Let's dive into some comments really quick.
Randy had a really good one on Boba Fett up here. I don't know if you saw from it was earlier this hour, 7:09. He was saying, we were talking about the Boba Fett miniseries. Yeah, and he was saying almost anything, some of his young life. Randy. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
She was saying that. I was so confused what you were saying. That some of his young life was part of the storyline of the Clone Wars series. So there is a gap in the timeline that they could fill. I love that idea. I'd love to see where we're getting, because like I said last episode, when we were talking about Chapter 9 of Mandalorian, I think the flashbacks have been some of the most just poignant moments on all of Mandalorian. And I think that, this might not be quite a flashback if it's part of a mini series, but I do think I would love to see going back in time a bit, seeing Boba Fett in that mix of time. So yeah, really good thoughts there, I thought.
Terry Mciver said, I don't speak frog. Surely they could have came up with the name for the species. I'm sure they have a name for the species. They just didn't say it because Mando doesn't know it. And Pelly probably also doesn't know it. So it's not necessary. I'm sure we'll find out next week when hopefully the other, like her husband, speaks basic. Maybe not. They have weird tongues. I don't know. Randy, she also said that Vision does look expressive, but doesn't a lot of it happen in his mind? Yeah, we think so. She also said, honestly, Baby Yoda eating some of the eggs was a bit disturbing in that episode. If he was just eating eggs, it would be no problem. But with the mother there, exactly. My point, exactly.
I guess.
She said, though I wonder what they used for an X-Wing set. They must have had to build a new one since the one they used is on display at Disney World Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if we've ever discussed this on the show, but they mentioned that in the show, in the first season, they actually brought the X-Wing that was going to Galaxy's Edge, and they used the cockpit of that to film their scenes when they're in there. Yeah, I don't know if we've ever mentioned that. We discussed.
Think so, yeah.
It was in, I believe it was in the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. Let's see. Terry says that he says, and they didn't even help him patch the ship. Dicks. He's talking about the X-Wing pilots. Yes. I concur. He also says that he has to go to work in 6 hours because Ireland is fast ahead of us. Ladies and gentlemen, that will bring us to a close. This has been episode 31 of Lights, Thunder, Action. David is waving his baby Yoda at you. My life-size baby Yoda will be delivered tomorrow, and I'll be picking it up on my way back in from Georgia, where I'm filming a commercial. That's what I have to promote. I'm filming a commercial tomorrow. Hi. It's a beer commercial. Hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for episode 31 of Lights, Thunder, Action. We will see you all next week, and obviously, may the force be with you.
Bye.